going, guys? It's Deathmonk here. Today I'm going to be talking about something rather interesting concerning Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now, for those who don't remember, or for those who don't know, I should say, basically, if you ever played Call of Duty Black Ops 4, you'll notice that's probably, I think if I'm not mistaken, that's the only Call of Duty so far that actually has never had a campaign or a story mode or a career, if that makes sense. Now, apparently, according to Purple Toaster 20 on the Call of Duty Reddit, or the Gaming Leaks and Rumours Reddit, I should say, apparently he's actually managed to find some rather interesting information concerning a campaign that was actually scrapped by Treyarch and Activision. Now, apparently, he's had done like months of research and discussion with people who have inside knowledge of the mode, and he actually has a video that's actually, if I manage to find any videos that he's actually uploaded on this, I'll link this down in the description. Apparently, but his sources and as well as himself decided it's better to release the info before the video is complete without getting copyright straight. So I'm not going to show any images on screen of the actual leaked images themselves, but if you want to read this for yourselves, the Reddit post, I'll leave this link down in the description. Apparently, and using this link right here, guys, he's actually found 400 plus images consisting of images of early documentation, so PowerPoints going by step on each mission, early builds of missions, and storyboards. So that's really interesting there, guys. So the mode itself, Black Ops 4's original campaign was going to be called Career. It was scoped to be a 2v2 race to the finish mode, as covered by Jason Schreier with his 2019 article covering the developer abuse within Treyarch. The mod was scrapped in early 2018 due to technical issues and the overall gameplay loop being described as too repetitive, on top of the title being set to release a month earlier for October of 2018. Outside of that, there's very little knowledge in the public for how this mod would have played out. The goal, was to take the format of the campaign, evolve it into a cooperative live service that linked back to the multiplayer and its specialists, creating a singular narrative universe that could also engage players who wouldn't usually play the campaign. Whilst creating a unique 2v2 experience was the focus, you could also play Career by yourself and have AI fill in the gaps. Your actions during the game would have genuine consequences, with the mission having dynamic changes depending on which faction succeeds or fails. In some cases, the next mission and the story would have completely different depending on who won or who lost. Narratively speaking, Career takes place during 2070 in a post-Black Ops 3 world. A global pandemic, alongside several climate disasters, would have heavily diminished the world's resources, resulting in the Year of Chaos. Most of the world's resources and weaponry were created prior to the breakdown in technology, with most of the new weaponry in Black Ops 4 being experimental prototypes created before the Year of Chaos. It is worth noting that most of the launch maps, weapons and specialist designs were created with this exact narrative in mind, hence Ruin, who has the gravity spikes, having a tattoo that wasn't present in Black Ops 3, for example. And as for the 2v2 aspect, the war would have taken place between two playable factions: the Free People's Army, or the FPA, a military alliance in opposition to the WUN, which I'll explain in a second, supported by many of the world's impoverished countries. The World United Nations, or WUN, a central government body that acts as a collective system of defence. Players would pick their preferred location and compete against the other side by completing different objectives, creating that 2v2 setting. Depending on your chosen faction, your gameplay experience would be completely different, with the mission's gameplay, story and characters being from the perspective of whichever faction you aligned with. By allowing the player to select their faction, you would essentially have two separate campaigns to play, assuming you weren't interested in the 2v2 element. Now, the fundamentals was mission design. Each mission was designed to be 15 to 20 minutes long, with some of them including a timer. There would only be 6 story locations, however each would be two times bigger than campaign missions from Black Ops 3, with every career being a sector of the larger map. Combat, as a standard for gameplay, you would always have AI to fight against, sometimes being from the other faction or third parties depending on the mission. There would be parts where both sides could get into shootouts or PvP, hindering the other faction's progress. If you were killed, you go into a down state to be revived, and if you bled out, you respawn at a base nearby to the action. Some missions included vehicles such as the VTOL and ATV, most of the vehicles within Korea would later be reused for Blackout, which is Black Ops' version of Battle Royale. All players who had 3 selectable abilities on their D-pad, all on a cooldown, similar to the cyber calls from Black Ops 3. So that's interesting. I'm not going to go too much into this here, guys, but if you want to read this all for yourselves, I will leave this all linked down in the description. So each player could select a companion, all of whom are multiplayer specialists. So you'll be using the multiplayer specialists from multiplayer in campaign, essentially in Black Ops 4. From a gameplay standpoint, your companion would fight alongside you. They could also be commanded by pressing down on the D-pad. Some missions even had side objectives in areas that only certain companions could access. The story continued to build a relationship with that companion that changed dynamically depending on your faction's progress. There were also plans for side missions that were focused on the individual companion. Similar to Black Ops 3's campaign, in terms of aggression, you would earn XP by playing the campaign and unlock new weapons, abilities and equipment. So similar to Black Ops 3. I wasn't really big massive fan of Black Ops 3's campaign, to be quite honest, but each major story beat within a mission would play a global cutscene from your faction's own perspective, depending on the outcome of certain objectives. So fair enough. You could also customize the gender and cosmetics of the player character and companion. Each mission would also end with a newsroom cinematic showing a news report of the previous mission. So back in the day where you could actually see what your actual progress was after the mission was finished, rather than just cutting straight on to the next mission. Below are 4 missions that were nearly complete and were within the last known builds before the mode's eventual cancellation. These were the images that were in these links. Were all from 2016 to very early 2017, and these were all nearly 100% complete by the time Korea was scrapped. So, Aerosol Convoy. The Free People's Army was tasked with escorting a convoy through Ethiopia's neutral zone, whilst protecting it from the WUN's incoming air assault. The FPA team could hack and switch between several DAD turrets, and also to control mounted weaponry on the convoy. It would have been probably interesting. On the other hand, the WUN was tasked with destroying the convoy by utilising several air vehicles. The WUN would then start within a nearby mountain base and would pick whichever vehicle they preferred. After being shot down, they'd respawn at the base and choose another available aircraft. Fair enough. Data control. Regardless of the mission outcome, the FPA would become suspicious of the WUN's involvement in the black market convoy. As a result, they would head to Zurich, Switzerland, to acquire critical data proving their theory. In data control, the Free People's Army was tasked with infiltrating a data centre and hacking into several terminals. Once the hacking devices were planted, the FPA needed to defend the terminals from the Zurich Defence Force. Fair enough. I don't want to go too much into this, guys. Again, if you want to read this, I'll leave this link down in the description. The FPA team in Data Escape would have to run all the way from the data centre, yellow, to the extraction area, green, where VTOL would be waiting. Note the sheer size of the level. It might not seem like much from above, according to this, apparently. But the playable area was huge. Tons of buildings, several distinct paths, and lots of room for both enemy and civilian AI to roam the scene. In contrast, in Snatch and Grab, if the WN succeeds and blows up the data center, the next mission after data control would be Snatch and Grab instead of Data Escape. Interesting. In Snatch and Grab, the FPA would attempt to apprehend the WN team from blowing up the facility. The destruction of the data center was a huge set piece that would not only be present in the intro cutscene, but in the level design too. Okay. Handlers. So there was handlers in this. So let's have a look here. I've got Sawyer, who is a figurehead for the FPA, who had gone off the grid after escaping from the joint, and McQueen, a colonel who has strong authority within the World United Nations. Sawyer and McQueen were fleshed out characters, predominantly being heard during gameplay over radio and featuring in most of Korea's story cutscenes. Fair enough. Side content also has Skirmish, which is a core gameplay element of the Korea mode retained, but there's no bunch of story, mission consequences, or cutscenes. While Korea was a story-focused experience with large emphasis on long-term decisions, Skirmish allowed you to play Korea missions in individual public playlists, similar to traditional multiplayer. That's interesting. We've also got custom game modes, apparently. Zombies Custom Mutations in Black Ops 4. The entire system was reposted from Korea. As part of the skirmish mode was the ability to tweak the core fundamental game settings to create your own campaign experience. Okay. I'll be honest with you, I think I probably do get why this was actually scrapped so far. So, you can for example, you can enable 44 gameplay or disable some, if not all, abilities. Spawn systems, health objectives, and so on could all be tweaked manually. It's not fully known how many settings there were, but the number is likely in the hundreds. There was merely an extra mode for people who finished the main career story. However, there were plans to release official Treyarch custom game modes with progression enabled throughout the season's post-launch. Let's have a look here. DLC. So there were plans for different seasons of career and story DLC post-launch. It was originally planned for each season of career to include 3 or so new missions. Okay. Which would be the first time a mainline Call of Duty campaign received new story content after its launch. Okay. Nightmares, or Zombie Nightmares, or however you want to call it. Career also had plans for zombie content, which would have been a sequel to Black Ops 3's Nightmares mode. The matches would have taken place on the career maps and utilised classic Zombies AI alongside special enemies such as Brutus and the Panzer Soldat. A fair amount of these concepts were routed to Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak mode. Nightmares experience had 2 primary gameplay modes, one of them being similar to Grief, but on a larger scale with 2 teams attempting to complete objectives as quickly as possible, and the other was a 6-player survival experience. So, what are your guys' thoughts of this? Let me know in the comments box down below. I'm keen to hear what your guys' views and opinions are. Again, all the leaked images that this chap Purple Toast 20 found, I'll leave a link down in the description. Make sure you guys check that out. Hope you guys found this video rather interesting. If you did, smash the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, please smash the subscribe button. Don't forget to notification bells for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then.